and welcome back to my little film and TV channel. We're going over to Disney Plus today. Yes, over to Disney Plus. It's been showing over it seemed a long time, 9 weeks, this little series. And of course, a lot of reviews and comments today are based on people who perhaps watched the early episodes. A lot of the critics themselves had watched 4 episodes in one go. So there's been a few reviews out there, but I thought I'd watch the whole lot and come on with this little review. We're going to have a look at She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Please, if you are new to the channel, push that subscribe button, push the bell notifications. I try and inform and entertain if possible. Was this an entertaining series? For a lot of people, probably not. For me, probably yes, in fairness, on reflection. So please, if you are new to the channel, give us a follow. Spread the word, and guys, if you've got a little minute just to give us a thumbs up, it's great to get views, but it's nice to get thumbs up as well. I say it's all opinions. If you don't agree with my opinion, that's fair enough. I'm not a big DC or Marvel. I love the stuff. I just watch films independently. I watch TV series just to be entertained. I don't want to make any comparison to anybody else. It's just how it affects me. So that's how I've gone into this little series. Right, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, 12 certificate, which is enough. I can't more PG for me, in fairness. Fantasy action adventure comedy created by Jessica Gay or Gao for Disney Plus, and of course based on the Marvel comics featuring the character She-Hulk. There'll be an image up there at some stage of one of the covers. 8th television series in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, produced by Marvel themselves. And as at the 16th of October 2022, as I'm recording this, 9 a.m. Yeah, the public, I assume majority of these public, I would honestly say, must be Marvel enthusiasts. Shall we say, not overly kind to this. The Rotten Tomato audience themselves, only a 35% positivity, so just more than 1 in 3 liking it. Internet Movie Database, it's only coming out at 5.1 out of 10, so just about halfway. And that's based on almost 137,000 scores and the odd review left as well. If you delve down into those figures, over 19,000, nearly 19,500 people scored it 10 out of 10, which seems quite good. But the negative, the 0 out of 10, 46,000 people scored this 0 out of 10. And the Meta uses the Metacritic site, which I use for the critics. Their use is only 2.4 out of 5. So again, 4.8 out of 10. So it's in and around the 5 out of 10 mark. And they've got a 54% positivity. So again, say 5 to 5.5 at a pinch. Who's in it? Well, we've got Tatiana Maslany stars as both Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk, of course. And as well as Tatiana, we've got a good cast. Some good cast, some better than others, but I quite like most of them. Jamila Jamil, Ginger Gonzaga, Mark Ruffalo, Josh Segarra, Martin Baker, Tess Malice Kincaid, Tim Roth, probably my favourite, Megan Thee Stallion, who I've never heard of in my life, but I believe she's a real person, playing a real person, but I'm not into this celebrity rubbish over in the US and stuff, so probably why I don't know her. Benedict Wong, Rennie Elsie Godsbury, John Bass, Reese Quaro, Griffin Matthews, Patty Harrison, Steve Coulter, Charlie Cox, Brandon Stanley, Drew Matthews, and I'm sure some other guys I've not mentioned. So an interesting cast. It premiered on the August the 18th, 2022, and ran, as I said, for 9 episodes until the last one just a few days ago as I'm recording this, October the 13th. And it's the last television series of Phase 4 in the MCU. This is why I get confused. I get all Phase 1, 2, 3, all this rubbish. It's just garbage. It's just part of a series. Just get on with it. And what's it about? Well, Jennifer Walters has a complicated life, to say the least, as a single attorney in her 30s who also becomes a 6'7", 2.01 metre Hulk, green superhero, the She-Hulk. This is the result of an incident, of course, where she and her cousin Bruce Banner, this is in episode 1, you get this background, when a car crash after an encounter with a Sakaran spacecraft while attempting to get Banner to safety. Walters was cross-contaminated with his blood, causing us to transform into a Hulk to become the world's latest superhero. Yet the critics, as I said, some of these scores are based on the fact they hadn't seen all 10 episodes. Some of these scores were done back in August, September. Rotten Tomatoes, yeah, the critics like it. The public are not impressed, but the critics did tend to like it. 87% positivity, an average score of 7 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's on 565 reviews. And the consensus says whether she's fighting bad guys, defending a client, or managing her messy social life, She-Hulk Attorney at Law passes the bar for binge-worthy viewing. Well, a little bit of a comment on the binginess of it in a moment. Metacritic, the other site we look at, uses a weighted average, of course, assigned 67 out of 100. So it's still good, still well up on the public scores. That's based on just 26 critics, 17 of whom were positive, 8 were mixed, and just 1 negative. And it scored anywhere between 20 and 100 out of 100. Let's have name and shame. Let's get some names out there. A couple I'm not too familiar with, but the only ones on Rotten Tomatoes. There weren't many main top critics down. Ian Thomas Malone said, She-Hulk could have easily suffered under the weight of its many sitcom tropes and excessive cameos, but the show rests comfortably on Maslany's big green shoulders. She-Hulk is Phase 4's crowning achievement thus far. Well, okay, so that's to say, all this Phase 4 rubbish and stuff, it's up there for me as one of the better efforts from Marvel anyway. Christy Cronin from Raising Wasians. I have no idea. Does that have something to do with the Cardassians? I have no idea, Christy. Christy Cronin, she said, She-Hulk is the first series that feels like a real TV sitcom and not a Marvel mini-movie series. Well, really? There's probably one or two others I could think that didn't really feel like a Marvel thing. Unfortunately, appealing to a very niche group of millennial women. Not even the fourth wall could save this finale. Yes, the fourth wall, another MCU thing. Finale, yes, was a little bit weak. Never mind. I don't mind being called a millennial woman. That'll do for me. Thank you. CNN's Brian Lowry, he scored it 40 out of 100 on Internet Movie. Or so was it Metacritic? Yeah, Metacritic site. Proving Moon Knight wasn't a fluke. I quite liked the early ones of Moon Knight, but I do agree it sort of lost its interest. I lost interest a little bit. Wasn't a fluke as Marvel-sized disappointments go. She-Hulk Attorney at Law is big, bright, colourful, and also too goofy for its own good. Trying to bend the mould is fine in theory, but the mix of sitcom-style tropes and irradiated powers yields a series that's too weak to smash much of anything. I think it's the goofiness here that sort of appeals to me, but I do take that critique on board. Hollywood Reporter's Dan Feinberg, he scored it 60. He wasn't overly convinced, though. He said, She-Hulk Attorney at Law is zippy, amusing, and laden with Easter eggs, but anybody looking for more darkness, more drama, more cohesion will be frustrated. Yes, absolutely. So far, it kind of is a cameo of the week show, one that isn't without pleasures as long as you're not allergic to silliness. I think perhaps it's the silliness I liked about this, and obviously a lot of people didn't. Rolling Stone's Alan Sepinwell, 70 out of 100. He said the results are mixed but mostly positive. The Attorney at Law has a harder time distinguishing itself in live action and its heroine has on the page. Ideally, a show billed as Marvel's first out-and-out comedy would be notably funnier than, say, Hawkeye, but the self-aware sensibility of Maslany's performance helped both She-Hulk and the series named for her carve their own place within the huge and large formulaic MCU apparatus. Well, there you go. So generally positive from the critics, not so much from the public. I'm going to give this a score based on silliness and goofiness and as a sort of sitcom rather than an Marvel action film, which it certainly isn't. A 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was all right, nothing wrong with it. Whether it would have survived, it certainly wouldn't have survived, I don't think, 9 times 45 to 50 minute episodes. I don't think it could have done that, not with the story and plots and ideas we get anyway. But 9 times, let's face it, you probably can knock off about 5 minutes credit time and sort of build up time and what happened last time stuff. So you're probably talking 9 times 27-minute series, which is, say, as soon as you start watching it, it's finishing. So there's not a lot to go at, is there? But that was just about right for me and very enjoyable. Generally, I'd assume that most Marvel fans, which probably most of the public, don't sort of like it, which you've seen in those scores. I've no particular axe to grind. As I said, watching this as part of the MCU, I just want to enjoy it. I just watch it as a standalone thing most of the time. If there's homages to other things, which there are in this, and fair enough, I don't get too carried away with it. I just want to enjoy a series for what it is. I accepted the comedic element of this, and it was a silliness in this and the quirkiness that appealed to me. But I do fully understand all the negativity surrounding it. Depends what you want. Depends what you want from a Marvel series, as I say. But I expect more action, perhaps, and more, fantasy action. But this isn't what this is about. There's links to obviously the very well-known Fleabag, which is, was fine for me. I like Fleabag, but that did wear a little bit thin after a time. And as a binge watch, yeah, I did say about binge worthiness. As a binge watch, I did glaze over. I thought I did tend to watch this in a couple of sittings, and yeah, I think as a weekly watch, it's much better. That's probably where what happened last time comes into it, but yeah, as a binge watch, it did struggle a little bit, but I did turn my brain off and thoroughly enjoyed it. Just to say, I did glaze over and sort of have to rewind a couple of times and have a look back at things I might have missed or dozed off to because I was watching it all in a couple of goes. But yeah, not really a binge watch. It works better as a weekly 25, 26-minute series. Titania Maslany, yeah, the stars in it in both main roles is excellent. Very, very watchable for me. Some good side characters, and I mentioned earlier on, Tim Roth in particular being one of my favourites. And the talking to camera, Fleabag style, as you know, if you watch, is perhaps off-putting. But add to that the quirkiness, and it mostly gets away with it, with the characterisations and storylines being okay. It could have been a bit more in depth, but what can you do in 20-odd minutes? It's difficult. So for me, this is an adequate, usually fun addition to an, at times, for me, up itself MCU, and that's what it is. It believes, it believes in its own hype sometimes. But I thought this was a nice, quirky addition to it. Let me know what you think, guys. Anyway, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, just let me know. It's all opinions, but we can't all agree. We've all got different views on things. I just accepted it for an interesting little fantasy sitcom, which there are one or two good ones out there, but this wasn't bad at all. Thanks for watching, guys. Please, until we meet again, stay safe, everyone. Bye for now.